guys, it's Angel. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're here at Nellis Air Force Base, just north of Vegas, with the Aerial Simulations F117A, the Nighthawk. Now, this is going to be the most amazingly accurate review ever because I've clearly flown one of these. Yeah, total experience. Absolutely loads of it. No, obviously, being a fairly secretive aircraft, we can only hope that it's pretty accurate. Cockpit details, performance are all going to be somewhat just about right. So, with that pinch of salt heftily prepared, I acquired this from the marketplace. And it is technically the F-117 retired single-seat subsonic twin-engine stealth attack aircraft. Developed by Skunk Works for Lockheed Martin, of course. And it's been operated by the US Air Force. And I say retired technically because it did technically retire in 2008 after coming in 1983. But they've been seen in the air again. Now, whether they're training aircraft, like the Air Force says, or they're actually active, it's hard to say. It's the Air Force, they're secret squirrels. And the squirrels are quite active with this thing because they've been out and about quite a lot. And it was part of Lockheed's contract, the Have Blue technology demonstrator this developed from, including basically manipulating how radar bounces off surfaces to change the shape and size of an object, which is why we see a lot of stealth aircraft with these sharp angles, because it bounces the radar signal rather than reflecting it. Curves will reflect it back, the angles will make it skip. And it works almost the same way radio waves will skip off the atmosphere almost. So if you have an oblique enough angle, it will just skip the signal. So interesting option of how to make that thing work. Now, of course, it first flew from Groom Lake, Nevada, which is Area 51. Of course, one of the aircraft that helped to kind of push that mythology of that site and what's there. So it was basically a very interesting aircraft. Of course, it served in Bosnia, it served in Iraq, and they've been very effective. In fact, only one got shot down, which was in Bosnia. And it's actually funny because it couldn't be seen when it was all sealed up. Okay, when everything was sealed up, it couldn't be seen. Now, it just happened to be the Serbs changed their radar from the seeking to targeting at exactly the right moment that one of these had their bomb bay open. That's when it was visible. Without the bomb bay open, it would not have been visible. They would not have known it was there, and it would have been completely unmissed. But unfortunately, 2 missiles fired. One actually struck a target. Pilot did eject. It was a shoot down. So, an interesting story regarding the F-117 there, that they did lose one, but by that point the technology was kind of moot, so they weren't particularly bothered by losing it. And as you go, you have the aircraft. So this comes from Aerial Simulations, as I mentioned. It's $16.99 on the marketplace, and it does come with a manual. It comes with all the various features and functions. And in terms of features, of course, this thing does come with various opening doors and closing hatches, including the bomb bays, and weapons can be brought down. If it's on the marketplace, you don't get that option, obviously, because they're not included. APU doors, tail hooks, antennas, parachutes, chocks, ladders, the radar, cross-section monitoring system. We have a drag chute system. We have these liveries here as well. Now, of course, in terms of how to actually operate this aircraft, we're going to start it now. So we're going to go inside and take a look around, and the outside as well. We're on the outside right now. We're going to go inside, outside, outside, inside. Locate my controller, which is actually turned on for once. Now, you see the control surfaces are all rotated down and out. This is because the hydraulic system actually does push them into line. They're hydraulically actuated, so that is necessary. You can see here we've got chocks, and the detail is actually very nice to this aircraft. How accurate a lot of this is, it's hard to say, because, of course, what do we actually know about it? Of course, the exterior is relatively well known, but the interior less so. But I like that even the scratching on the exterior glass there with that initial lens. Now, I will say the interior of this window arrangement is horrible from the inside, but you'll soon see that. That'll be our refueling probe, I believe. Modeling's really nice. It's very well detailed. I think it looks quite nice. Let's go inside, take a look around in here as well. So it's a bit of a coal pit. So very, very dark in here. Tinted windows makes things quite unusual. Let's get ourselves started, shall we? So we're going to look down here first as to our batteries, which will be here. So battery on. And then we need 2, which is going to be our external power, so that's going to be on as well. No, that's a normal, sorry, that's on. do it, reset. Oh. That is the correct button. Okay, wonderful. 3 will be down here. So I need to go to APU to on. Is that fuel on there? Fuel is on. Sorry. APU to start. Okay, now to engage the starter, we basically come down here, and this is what it's telling me to do for the actual instructions. So we'll go with that. This is what's in the manual. It tells me to engage my starter, which I'm going to do. Look for my engine instruments on here. Nothing is moving right now, so that's unusual. It did tell me just to press start, which I am doing. The APU didn't seem to start, though. That could be an issue. Is that actually on? Yeah, fuel valve on. There we go. APU has started. Okay, one step at a time. Make this work. That should give us enough bleed air, I'm assuming, to start the engine, so... Engine starts should be coming up soon. We have engine core RPM. So move the throttle there. We have left engine start. And whilst we do that, we're going to switch across to our right engine over here. So, of course, cut off the fuel in the engines is going to be on there as well. And we can also pull this back out of that notch into cut off as well. So the real 117 does not have a parking brake, but here we have a bit of a mock one, which is included down there. Emergency brake power, click that and you've got a parking brake, of course. And if there's no light, it is off. So, parking brake. Nice and simple. So, let's get engine 2 started. Okay, that's coming up now. Move our throttle up there. Notch it for us. Make sure anti-skid is turned on. We'll get our generators to come on here. Now, for canopy, we have unlock handle here. And we have this. And this is unlike a lot of aircraft. You actually have to hold this one to do it. So I'll pull the camera all the way out so you can see. And you have to hold this. And our canopy will open fully. You cannot open it a lot, because exterior-wise it is that much. But that's the real one. Look weird being me in my t-shirt and jeans, of course, but should have switched to a fighter pilot for this one. Really should have done, didn't. Okay, we'll move the canopy down. And this will latch in place with the locking handle there. So, of course, a number of these systems do some things. Some of them do not do things. And, of course, we'll have to work that as we go along. So all our electronics and instrumentation is on and we are good to go. So APU is going to come off here. Fuel to off. And we're going to cover that down. So what it does tell us in the manual in terms of remember to fly, for takeoff, trim down 1 unit to help compensate pitching, which we'll do. Once you raise the landing gear. So don't lift nose till 140 knots. Lift it to 5 degrees and it will fly off by 160. Best climb rate is 340, indicated at Mach 7.74. For descent, descend at 250. Plan for 2 miles traveled for every 1,000 feet you need to descend. Approach 160 to 190. Landing. So it's saying we'll lose pitch authorities. We want to keep 9.5 degrees. Okay. We can do that. Much safer to keep your speed slightly high. Touchdown at your approach speed. So we're touching down at 160. When pushing fully aft on the stick, the aircraft will command 6 Gs. And when pushing forward, -2. Max positive AOA is 13 degrees. We'll try and limit you. So apparently this will actually try and limit us. Past 16, it will flip into a flat spin. There is no negative AOA limit. But avoid anything past -5. Okay. So it's very interesting in the way this displays this. So we've got a TACAN system here which will display direction and distance information on the HSI. That is down here. And this does actually work on there. So we can change the frequencies for that one. We can extend our antennas, which I believe are down here. So it's TACAN antennas. I don't know if that extended anything, but it told us to do it. Make sure HSI mode is set to TACAN. And that'll give us, of course, our HSI readouts we wanted there. We do have ILS functionality, of course, which is down here. We've got ILS lock antenna control switches, and we have our ILS frequencies tuned there. And we can change to our ILS antenna on here. So that is selecting that HSI mode. Now, RCS enhancers and beacon lights. So we're going to be looking to... which side of the cockpit are we looking at? This side here. Now, unhide RCS enhancers and beacons. I don't know what changed. Oh, right. It takes off all those beacons and RCS enhancers. Basically things that you get... This happens with the F-22 now and the F-35. When they're doing exercises or training, they'll have radar cross-section enhancers, little domes and beacons and things to make them visible on radar. So it's not a Mach 2 bumblebee, which is sensible. So in combat mode, of course, it does that. Now, of course, down here as well, we do have the ability to hide the glass tint. So you can go completely transparent like normal, or you can go law friendly. And otherwise, these don't do anything else. So to make the IRAD screen show an image and the following conditions be set, battery and IRAD power. Where is our IRAD power? So let's find out where that is. I'm pretty sure it's down here somewhere. I know it's one of these switches down here. ACS monitoring system there. Beacon power. Those are fine. Everything else down here is our floodlights, and we have the warning beacons, nav lights, etc. When those are actually enabled and visible. If you don't have them visible, they will not show, of course. Otherwise, they are exactly where they are. Seat adjuster does not work, but you have got your buttons here. They do great for making your seat go up and down. It's fantastic. Now, this I've still not worked out how to actually control. It does tell you in the instructions, but it isn't super clear. IR's power. Oh, there we go. I did it. The FLIR dial moved to IR, and that was down here, wasn't it? Yes, to IR and operate IR LSR. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to go for a quick flight in this baby. Autopilot controls, by the way, are here. Nice and simple. Now, of course, we do have these functions for nav hold, etc. Heading hold. These don't do anything, unfortunately. We sure do lighting already. Otherwise, let's get ourselves out of here. So we're started up and ready to rock and roll, so let's move this thing, shall we? No faffing around on the ground for 12 minutes, but it's been a fair bit to show you. So parking brake is disengaged. Let's get ourselves turned around, taxied out to the runway here at Nellis. I will say this visibility at the front is not great, but I suspect it's not an aircraft you're flying a lot of visual flight rules in. There's enough to see, which is important, of course, but it's definitely more of a night raider, night penetrator, so you'll be flying pretty much IFR a lot of the time, so I'm sure it's perfectly fine for that. And there is a ton of side visibility, actually, so when you're flying above Iraq or the Balkans, you have a wonderful view of the hole in the stars next to you. It is your wingman. So, of course, we'll get ourselves taxied out here to Nellis's main runway, and we'll get ourselves off the ground. We'll follow those instructions we had for it. Excellent, 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 excellent. So we have our drag chute down there as well. We'll be using that for our landing. Not until we've hit the ground. There's one of these here. Right there. Oh, let's slow down because I need to turn. I don't want to tip over. It'll be very expensive repair to the radar paint. Radar absorbing paint, I should say. So yeah, actually really fantastic side-on visibility, but not from the front. Where it looks like it's something made in Roblox rather than Flight Sim. Now, you don't have flaps in this aircraft as well. That is something to consider. So your lift ability is very limited when you're taking off and landing. It needs big runways, and it lands very quickly. So, obviously, that's a factor. I did test flights beforehand, so I didn't look like a complete moron. I was too slow. It will get very squirrely and roll if you are far too slow. That's why we don't turn too quickly, because you'll tip over. Okay, let's do this thing, shall we? Okay, we're rolling. There's something very cool about flying this monster, isn't there? It It's an F117. You know, it's one of those aircraft you see in the world. First real stealth aircraft. Not the actual first, but here we go, nose up, and we'll fly off at 160, which we are doing. Okay. The first truly... Oh, there we go. That's a bit of a pitch angle it's given us. Right, so we're going to go outside here, look at our gear coming up. So obviously we've got the gear bay doors there. All weird angles to make sure the thing is straight and radar visible. Okay, climb is good. But obviously the first real purpose-built stealth aircraft that really did work as intended. And it's led to many different aircraft. Of course, we've seen the B-2s, we've seen the F-22s, the F-35s, we've seen the Felon, and other aircraft, of course, developed the long lineage from things like this. Now, you could say that the Blackbird was semi-low visibility, but was it really, or was it just so fast that it didn't matter? Pretty much that category. So the F-117, of course, had a lot of mythology around it, and there's still not a lot we don't know about the aircraft, because they are tentatively still in service. Even though retired, they're still secret. The technology, whilst not technically current anymore, they're still pretty classified. They did lose one, of course, and they weren't super upset when the Russians got hold of the stuff on it, because it was outdated. But what they've done to the new ones now, who knows? What the new ones are capable of is another matter entirely. Let's turn that glass tint off for a second. So visibility is actually quite pretty when you've got the glass turned off. Obviously forward, not super amazing. This is not, of course, an aircraft you're going to be flying VFR. But it does the job. And I do like the tint. It makes things look rather different, actually. I feel very stealthy. So weapon bays. I'm going to pull the throttles back here a little bit. So the weapon bay control is down here. And we can roll this round to open and lower the munitions bays. Obviously, a missile would be on the end of here. And we could roll that to open the other one. You can only open one at a time, from what I can tell. Roll that in to close it, and then roll that to open the other one. That is down there. And we can close that, lift that pylon up as well. Just open. No, it's still out. Okay, it's only got one option. That is open and out. So that's how one actually got hit when it had its stuff hanging out in the air. So it literally caught with its pants down, as you might say. Whoopsie. So there's Nellis for us right there. So, do I like this aircraft as a purchase for £16? Not a terrible price, actually. Really reasonable price. Lots of fun functions in it, and I do like the IR screen down there, the FLIR screen. It's cool to see, even though it isn't exactly super functional. It's just a camera view of what's in front of you, essentially, in a green hue. But it's kind of neat in that regard, that it does feel quite plausible. Would I go scooting around the Middle East? Yeah, possibly. It could be fun. Could I go around the Balkans and pretend it's the 90s? Yeah, I could. Is it fun to fly? Is it maneuverable? Sure she is. It's a stealth frickin' fighter. It's super cool. I think it's worth having just to have, honestly. It's a lot of fun. And I could definitely do some Groom Lake adventures in this sort of aircraft. So we're going to get ourselves down here and make our approach towards Nellis. So we're going to fly downwind, kind of extend it out from the airfield here. And we'll drop down towards our pattern altitude and we'll make our turn for a long run in. I want to have a long run in because I want to make sure I'm getting this thing as stable as possible. I don't want to over slow in the turns. So we're just going to pull the power. Keep some power in, but keep it lowered. So our angle of attack is currently good, where we want it. Okay. The field is just behind those clouds. Descent looking good. Yeah, the first screen's kind of cool. Now what do we have on these screens whilst we're here? Not everything, actually, because obviously we've got our various options here, but doesn't work. Doesn't work. Has a HUD. How do I go back to the thing? The manual did not explain this to me. I will click all of your buttons. Not implemented. Not implemented. So I thought at least I might have a... Okay, what do I need to do? Okay, not gonna hit anything. Okay, most of these things don't do anything. It would have been cool if there was a way to actually just have a version of the stock GPS system in there. Would have been nice, just as a option, but hey. Because if a bunch of these things aren't actually working because it's not available, it would be cool to put something in its place, at least. Obviously you can VOR navigate, but you can TACAN technically, if there are any TACAN beacons you have. But it's obviously not necessarily going to work so great in a civilian simulator. Okay, let's get our nose down here and get ourselves rolled around. We're just over 200, so we want to keep the speed up a little bit for this turn. And we're going to set ourselves up now for our approach. We'll use the left runway for this with the lead-in lights. Okay, power's down to near idle. Command gear down. Anti-skid is enabled. Aircraft about as configured as we're going to get here. A little bit of rudder. Bring that nose around. 87. We're going to land a little fast, seeing as this is my only second landing, so we're going to keep our speed around 170. That's looking good. Our angle of attack is looking correct. 171 on speed, looking successful here. I don't know how it's going to behave when I flare or throttle back, so I'm keeping the power I have on here. Of course, that's the Vegas Motor Speedway there, to our right. Woo! NASCAR! I joke, but I do actually like NASCAR, so, yeah. Colour me American, if you will. Speed up a little bit here, we're slowing down. That's exactly what you want to see on approach, going past Vegas while you're watching the trucks. Okay, nose raised too much there. Let's control this for some pitch. Slightly off center, let's correct that. Gears 3 green, confirmed. Handlers confirmed down position. Bringing the power back, we're a little faster than I'd like to be. Still off to the right there. I'm not going to try and slip at F117. So I'll just let ourselves drift right, then straighten up again. I'm visually familiarising myself with where the drag chute will be. Powering back here as we approach touchdown. Nose is coming up, speed's dropping. Feeling stable right now. It's a little rolly, but it's okay. Bringing the nose up. Oh god, there's a runway. Yeah. I think I hit one of the approach light markers there. There we go, that's much nicer. Drag chute's out. And there's our chute in the wind. That won't actually come out in when you're stopped. When you're stopped, the door will open, but the chute won't actually deploy. So you actually have to be moving for the chute to deploy, which is neat. No brakes applied here, obviously. I'm just letting us roll to a stop here with the drag chute. A little bit of steering, there we go. And that is us with now braking. And that disappears when you stop. So we'll pull this back in. And that closes those hatches up. And we are down. So I may have clipped one of the landing approach lights there because I was a little bit too focused on my speed. It happens. But we made our... I pulled it back up and we managed to make the second touchdown a lot smoother. It's definitely a very nice aircraft to fly. I think you definitely have to be speed conscious because too slow it will get squirrely, and I think I was a little hesitant after getting too slow on my first attempt at a landing. I got down to about 130 and it started to roll on me and go away in the landing. But definitely will take some practice. I think it's a fun aircraft. I think it's got some neat little features in here and it's well made enough that for the price, I know what I'm getting. I'm paying £16-17, which is, we're talking $20, $22, about 18 euros. It's a reasonable price for what you get, in that you get a fairly okay simulation of an aircraft that we frankly don't know that huge amount about in terms of its capabilities. It flies in a fairly interesting way, and it looks good in terms of what we get from the simulator. There we go. Taxi around with the canopy open, which feels much brighter and airy for us. So, oh, ew. Sorry, new here. Not used to flying Nighthawks. We'll not park in a taxi. I'm not a heathen. What do I think of this aircraft? I think it's certainly worth it if you like your military aircraft and want to add to your collection a piece of history that may or not be current affairs, depending on how you want to see it. It's certainly well made enough, it flies well enough, and it sounds okay. Not amazing, but it certainly has enough unique little quirks that it makes for an interesting aircraft to add into your collection and fly around in, especially if you like the deserts of Arizona. So, we'll park here, and we'll just pull the engines back into those detents. I can't, so what we can do though, is cut the engine fuel. That should cut those. And that is the Aerial Simulations F117. Bye!